Bachelor Duke's progeny posted some terrific results on the track last season, which culminated in the Group 1 win of Shuka, the first Group 1 win for the Oak stud-based sire. I recently spoke to Rick Williams about the progression of Bachelor Duke. Rick, it was a big year for Bachelor Duke last season with his first Group 1 winner in Shuka, taking out the Captain Cook Stakes. How pleasing was it to get that elusive Group 1 winner?
Yeah, it was very pleasing. I guess a horse we'd bred had been a Group winner, I think, from 2-year-old right through his career. He's been a horse that's probably deserved a Group 1 win earlier in his career, and I think Bachelor Duke's probably deserved a couple of Group 1 winners earlier, but it was nice to get that one away.
He's represented every year with a good horse at the top level. That continued with Scapolo and Spring Cheer, making it a pretty special New Zealand Cup week in Christchurch.
It certainly was. In fact, we bred them both, and Kevin Myers bought Scapolo off us, and because he bought Scapolo as a yearling, I sent him a horse to train, which happened to be Spring Cheer, so it was a huge week with him winning the Copeland and a special day, Cup Day, when we managed to get the 150th running of the New Zealand Cup with Spring Cheer.
Bachelor Duke started stud duties in 2005. He kicked goals very early on, being named first and second season sire in New Zealand. He produces consistent gallopers, but he doesn't serve a large book of mares. Why is that?
No, it's been interesting. When he came into the country, he was a difficult horse to promote, and all those early good horses were bred by the Oak stud, and then his books increased up to 120, 130, 140, and I think you're seeing the benefit of those crops coming through now. But for some reason or another, he sits fifth on the sires list now behind the 4 big horses, but he's never quite captured the imagination of the broodmare owner.
He was good enough himself to claim the Group 1 Irish 2000 Guineas. Has he produced a certain type of racehorse here?
I wouldn't say type, because they've won over every distance and they've won on all track conditions. He's got a 2-mile winner, and he's got a number of 2-year-olds and sprinters, and they seem to handle wet and dry. So I wouldn't say there's a type of horse, but they're certainly easy horses to train. They stable well, and the trainers seem to like them.
The horse is 13 years old now. He's in his prime as a sire. How would you describe him on type?
He's a moderate-sized horse, but he's a beautifully balanced horse and a great walking horse with a good head and jowl. I think he's one of those horses that tidies up most mares, and he adds a little bit of speed to the average New Zealand broodmare.
How do you see him crossing with our New Zealand mares? Are there any patterns establishing at all?
Well, there certainly is, because of the stakes-winning horses that he's produced in the Southern Hemisphere. The Oak stud have bred 75% of them, in fact. So we believe we know how to breed him. He's actually a very easy horse to mate, because he carries a Northern Dancer daughter in his dam line, and he's a horse that represents a very good outcross to any of the predominantly Northern Dancer male lines. But there's certain patterns he's picking up on, and it's quite easy to predict. And we would have loved to have got the mares we got to Darcy Brahma to Bachelor Duke, and I'm sure his record would be even better than it is today. But he's still a young horse. As you said, he's only a year older than Darcy Brahma, so there's a long way to go yet.
He has a pedigree that would stand up anywhere in the world. By Miswaki out of Seattle slew mare Gossamer, his granddam a full sister to Nureyev. What attracted you to the horse?
Well, just as you said, he's got a pedigree that'll stand up anywhere in the world. We were looking for another Mr. Prospector Lion horse, and his dam, as you said, is a sister to Nureyev. It's the greatest sire-producing family in the world, and it's quite interesting when he breeds back into mares carrying the blood of Sadler's Wells, Fairy King, Nureyev, or all those other relations to those 3 stallions. He seems to produce top-class horses, so that's a clue for the broodmare owner.
You mentioned it earlier, Rick. He's rated in the top 5 on the New Zealand sires table, with good reason. Bachelor Duke produces progeny seemingly with very good market value in the sales ring and in the tried horse market.
Well, absolutely. This Ready to Run last year, I think he had 5 all sold and averaged $104,000, which is remarkable for a horse off a service fee of $8,000. And then going through Karaka, I think there were 12 sold, averaged $64,000. And it's interesting, we've sold 2 off the racetrack this year for huge money to Hong Kong, so they can be sold at any level, from weanlings right through to racehorses.
When you talk about Hong Kong, horses like Adepto and All Torn Up flying the flag up there, why are his progeny so popular with the Asian buyers?
Well, it's interesting. I think we go back to how they stable. They're very happy horses, and they seem to be quite happy in their boxes, and I think that makes a big difference for any horses going into any of the Asian markets, horses that just stable well, eat well, and get on with the job.
With such a great season last year, how bullishly are breeders patronising Bachelor Duke?
Bullishly is not the word. They're coming a little bit better than they did last year, but I think that's more a sign of the market, not a reflection of the horse. And obviously the Oak Stud are supporting him hugely. We have a pretty big broodmare band now, and we've got absolute confidence in him. So that, and there's been renewed interest by the breeders this year. It's definitely picked up off last year.
Service fee, Rick, of $8,000. How was it established?
Well, it's just a reflection of the market, really. A horse fifth on the New Zealand size would normally be a lot higher than that, a proven horse like him. It's just the way it is at the moment. You've got to price things competitively, or you simply don't get the outside mares to them.
You've always had the utmost faith in this horse's abilities. What level of success do you see him achieving as a sire in the future?
Well, I think his record will only improve. I mean, he's gone from, I think, with 2 crops racing, 35th on the sires list to 22nd to 15th to 9th to 5th. So the progress has been steady and all upwards, and that's how I see it in the future. I mean, our broodmare band's grown, so we're probably supporting him more than we've ever supported him because we can afford to. And the breeders are coming back this year, which is good, and with better quality mares. And at the end of the day, that makes a huge difference.
We hope the success continues into this season for the Oak Stud-based Bachelor Duke. It's now time for Kiwi Bred Abroad. We're off to Singapore to link up with New Zealand Bloodstock's Mike Kneebone.
Hi and welcome to another edition of Kiwi Bred Abroad. It's the show brought to you with the compliments of the Singapore Turf Club, who race from their Kranji base here every Friday and Sunday. This week we'll be catching up with trainer Alwyn Tan. He's made a huge impact on the Trainers' Premiership this year with horses like the champion 2-year-old and 3-year-old War Affair and the recent Asia Challenge Cup winner in Korea, El Padrino. Alwyn, you've had a fantastic year so far with the Trainers' Premiership. You've led for a long time. You're running second to an 8 times champion, and you've just had one of the biggest thrills of your training career with El Padrino up in Korea. How does that feel?
For me, it's the first time overseas race. I feel very fantastic, and I think it's very good experience. Like a local trainer, have this kind of experience for overseas race.
El Padrino, he's a New Zealand bred horse by Mr. Nancho. There were 3 Japanese horses in the race. The balance was made up by 2 from Singapore as well as the rest of the field from Korea, but he absolutely won on an ear, didn't he?
Yes, at first I was look at the field, I was a bit worried. For me, it's the first time to race in overseas, and for El Padrino, I think he has the ability to run on the potty track, which I think the distance is correct and the track is suit him. So, and for me, that's why I decide to race in Korea. And for the Japanese and Korean horse, and for me, it's a question to take a challenge with them.
Fantastic. The other Kiwi horse that's really made his mark for you this year in your stable is War Affair. He's done a wonderful job. Of course, you got him after he won a 2-year-old championship, and it must be a fantastic thing to have such a good horse in your stable.
At first, I was very upset for my Speedy Cat going out of my stable, and a few months later, and Jason was my supervisor, come and approach me and see to take about this horse, and I was very shocked, to have War Affair in my stable, and I say okay, and I will say like I take a chance to train him. And for him and to have this kind of horse in my stable, I think it's sort of like a morale boost, to everyone, when he start to race, and especially he win the 3-year-old series, and make everyone was proud of him, and I was very surprised that and he can keep on going with that kind of spirit and fighting, against other horses.
He's probably the best horse in Singapore. He looks magnificent. You've done a wonderful job with him. Where to from here, leading towards, I guess, the Chairman's Trophy?
Yes, I won't say he's a champion in Kalanji because for racing, I believe that every day is new for the horses to challenge against their opponent, you know. And for war affair, I believe he got the spirit, fighting spirit is very strong, you know. And I just can put my finger crossed and, you know, that he has that kind of spirit, keep on going. And eventually he will win more good races, and I believe, you know, that this horse will be go like, you know, overseas race for represent Singapore again.